Hey guys, Tod Hardin here with Plastic Oceans International, where I'm the head of global operations. I'm super excited to be joined in another one-on-one conversation with our Director of Science for North America, Mr. Charlie Rolsky. As I click here to look at his credentials here, he is not only our Director of Science, but he's also a PhD student at Arizona State University through the Biodesign Center for Environmental Health Engineering. Charlie, hopefully I got that correct, and why don't you take us through just a couple moments of what you're doing there.
Yeah, absolutely. You nailed it. It's nice to have some social interaction here. That's completely safe. So I'm a PhD candidate at Arizona State University, and my research revolves around, broadly, it's marine biology concepts, but more specifically, it's plastic pollution. And very specifically, if you want to get micro, I do quite a bit of research with microplastic pollution in the environment, in animals, in us, sort of the whole nine yards.
Great. Well, we've been kind of doing these conversations because, like so many other people around the world, a lot of us are just kind of holed up at home, right? I mean, I guess it's quarantine, the age of the quarantine, so to speak, with the coronavirus or the COVID-19 pandemic, I believe is maybe the other term for it. So our goal here is not really to be talking a lot about plastic pollution, but when we do, kind of in the context of what's going on and just in general, a little bit about what is going on out there. Now, I find it interesting to talk to you from the perspective of that you're a scientist. You're a real scientist, and we keep hearing so much about we need to listen more to the scientists versus, the politicians on this, so to speak. But what's your take on this thing, and how it's spreading? And I know it's not your area of expertise, so I don't want to portray it that way. But from the science perspective, what's your take on it?
It's a very scary time for us all. And while this isn't necessarily my background, there are people who run the lab that I work in that are virologists and study the spread of viruses and disease. And so I've learned quite a bit from being around them. It's insane. It's crazy because you can sort of think about it biologically as a virus being like this, living organism that can only really move if we're moving. And it just goes to show how much of these interactions occur on a daily basis. The fact that this just took off in virtually every country with a higher, population. And it's really terrifying from our perspective. And it's one thing to have something like this break out. It's another to not really be prepared for it, which is really, how can you be when it's something that you've never experienced before? It's definitely taking, all hands on deck, really. There's so many labs that have now dedicated their research towards, creating a vaccine or better understanding it or how to treat it better, we have great collaborations with Mayo Clinic here in Phoenix. And so it's been incredible to see sort of everyone have one path that they've been on and just completely deviate towards working on this and trying to figure out a solution.
Sure. Well, I'm here I'm about an hour north of Detroit, so a bit of a rural setting. Although the state of Michigan is one of the states that's kind of in complete lockdown right now, unless you need to go out and, of course, get food, medicine, etc. What's happening in Arizona? I mean, what are you seeing around the university? What are you seeing in general in the Phoenix area or the state in general?
Well, President Crow, who's the president of our university, moved every single in-person class to now being online. So all of these professors and students alike had to make the transition relatively quickly. And that's been, pretty amazing to watch because it was really fluid. They were able to do it, pretty efficiently, and everyone's kind of adjusting and just, similar to probably what your situation is like. There's been a lot more awareness at stores. And there's been protocols established. I actually went to a grocery store the other day, and they were handing out shopping carts that had been wiped down with the sanitary wipe, which was nice. And they're maintaining certain distances between people standing in line. One thing that is in kind of our area that I noticed was that they weren't too keen on using reusable bags. And if you did bring a reusable bag, you had to bag everything yourself, which I was totally fine with. But I understand because they're trying to maintain the utmost amount of safety for these people that are bravely working every day.
Yeah, I think the folks in the grocery stores, the pharmacies, and things like that kind of get forgotten. We always kind of turn, what is an essential worker, so to speak. And, man, can you imagine sitting there and I don't know, out here we have a Kroger's chain, for example, and you're dealing with hundreds of people per day right now and during this, and that's got to be a bit harrowing for them. So I always, for any of you out there that are working in our grocery stores, our pharmacies, food carry out. I mean, man, hats off to you, because I think you're doing as important work as there is out there with this whole thing. So, yeah, I'm curious. I'm going to do a little screen share here. If anyone hasn't come across this yet, I'll show you this website here, which is from Johns Hopkins University, and it really is a near real-time tracking of the data. And Charlie, are you seeing that?
I am, yeah.
Great, yeah. It's a great, it's updated. It's not real time, but it's updated about every 30 minutes or so. But you can see today we went well past 450,000 confirmed cases globally, and we're now sitting at over 20,000. Now we're 21,000 deaths worldwide. So if you're someone that likes data and you want to keep up to date on what's happening with this and where it's spreading and how fast, this is really a great tool to look at. So definitely go on and check it out. Again, it's from Johns Hopkins University. I'm pretty sure if you just Google coronavirus and Johns Hopkins University, you're going to find this from Johns Hopkins. So yeah, here, I mean, gosh, you see that data, and it is moving fast. Is it kind of the typical? I mean, do you know much about how viruses kind of typically spread, Charlie?
Well, if you kind of look at it like the introduction of any new species, what happens is at the very beginning, if that environment is well equipped, or that, to handle that organism, you'll see exponential growth at the beginning, which is what you saw in that graph. So you see this line that's really just starting to take off, and it's, everyone's saying flatten the curve. That's kind of the point at which either someone or some organism hits what we call carrying capacity, where the amount of resources in the organism are equipped for one another. But now we're trying to see that sort of taper off. And in some countries, I think China is now lifting regulations, allowing people a little bit more leeway there, where we're looking for that curve to flatten. But this happens quite a bit with the introduction of new species in certain ecosystems.
Sure. One of the things that I think I've wrestled with, and others have, in the whole plastic pollution movement, is just like kind of coming to grips, like, is there a moment in time such as this where, we really look at the value of plastics, at least for as long as it's here, in the sense of medical uses, but even in the sense of single-use plastic usage. I have to admit, I was at the grocery store the other day, and I just don't know. You see produce, some that's wrapped in single-use plastic, and I can understand people wanting to go, I mean, right or wrong, but wanting to go and grab that. I mean, have you seen anything similar, felt anything similar from a single-use plastic perspective? But then, maybe from a science perspective, because you work in a lab, I'm sure you guys have many wonderful things you do because of plastic. So maybe on those two subjects, if you could just chat a little bit.
Yeah, it's an interesting time to be a plastic pollution researcher, because for the longest time you can see, especially with single use, that its purpose is not really necessary. But speaking first to lab work, yeah, a lot of what we go through every day is essential, whether it's gloves or it's syringes, pipettes. Quite a bit of it has to be single use because we can't be transferring things and contaminating samples. The exciting aspect of that is we are kind of on the precipice now of being able to repurpose these. There's groups set up that can recycle gloves and stuff like that, which is great. From a now single-use perspective in the stores, it might all of a sudden have a purpose, in terms of at least the stuff that's covering certain types of food or a perceived purpose for people. To me, I'm still under the impression that I have to wash stuff. So if I see corn on the cob that's in plastic, to me that still says that I need to wash it. So I'm going to do that. I think this is a great call for restaurants or for businesses and grocery stores to be able to say, we want you to be able to have food that's safe. These are steps you can take once you get home to be able to make sure your food's clean. Right. But it's pretty much since I began researching plastic, this is the first time it's actually shown to have some sort of use, especially single-use plastics.
Sure.
At the grocery store. So it's an interesting time to be around for sure.
Yeah, no, it sure is. We're going to see where it goes. That's for sure. It's going to be, these coming days and weeks are going to be pretty telling, I think, especially as we're looking at what's happening in New York. And over in Europe and Spain now is, I guess, really seeing quite a big of a jump. I would stress for everyone, listen, the social distancing thing, just kind of do it as best you can. It's kind of, stay calm, stay home, save lives is kind of, something I'm trying to live by. And, actually rediscovering some things. I've actually started reading a book, which I haven't done in ages. Yes, I'm watching an awful lot of content online as well from Netflix or Hulu or what have you. So, but real quick, let's just kind of, if you had some core tips, again, you're coming from a perspective of a scientist, which I hope everyone, holds a little bit more value in. And I mean, what do you say? What are your top tips for folks, to kind of get through this?
Yeah, I think you were on the right track. This virus doesn't move, it doesn't have legs, it's only moving through us. So we have to think about our movement patterns. Even if we're not sick, you can still be carrying it and transfer it to someone whose, body is not well equipped to handle it. I'm constantly aware of my hands and what I'm touching.
Yeah.
We have to think about quite often in lab, because if you contaminate your own samples, it's a big deal. I understand that people have to go out. I've had to go out to get groceries. There's a park near me. I go and do my workouts there because it's nice and open and not a lot of people are around. Washing hands, I think, is where it starts. Definitely be aware of what you're touching and what you're leaving behind. If you are going out, I have hand sanitizer in my car. They provide a lot of the wipes at the grocery stores now. And then social distancing, I think you're exactly right. Be aware of your surroundings, not to the point that you're going to be mean to other people, but just be cautious and keep a safe distance. And, we're as strong as one another, and this is a community effort. So really being aware of your hand washing, your social distancing, finding a middle ground between having to go out for things that you need and, just kind of going out to go out. It's important to understand that. And yeah, I think things will begin to improve. I can already say, scientifically, we're seeing advancement towards tests that are really efficient, 10 minutes, and it's picking up, and so there's a lot of exciting stuff on the horizon. We just have to, stay inside, stay clean. Take 10 minutes to walk around outside if you have to, or do a quick yoga exercise workout. But I think staying inside and staying clean are really going to help this pandemic.
Yeah, and what's the connection? I mean, a lot of us keep hearing, don't touch your face, don't touch your face. I mean, why is that? What's the deal with not touching the face? Why is that so important?
We have to think about the ways for the virus to get in our bodies. If I have contaminated hand and I touch my elbow, there's a good chance it's not going to end up in my body unless I have an open cut. But there's quite a bit of opportunity for something to enter your system on your face. So whether it's your eyes, your mouth, your nose. There's several entrances that a virus could take advantage of, and it's something that we don't think about. I have to consciously be aware if I have an itch not to go like this, or if I do have something.
I was just about to itch my face.
Yeah, and the more you think about it, the more you want to touch it. It's this horrible, system to be in. But again, there's just a lot of potential for something to enter your body, respiratory, through your eyes, your ears, your nose, all that stuff.
Cool. Well, listen, folks, this is, again, Charlie Rolsky. He's the Director of Science North America for Plastic Oceans International. I should have mentioned earlier, he's also the host of a new web series that we have going on called Breaking It Down with Charlie Rolsky. So if you're looking for content, we've got 4 episodes. They're short. They're a couple minutes each. Charlie, why don't you just real quick give that brief description of what Breaking It Down is?
This whole conversation is kind of the purpose of breaking it down, because there's so much information out there that we're inundated with on a daily basis. It's hard to really track down where the true sources is, or it's maybe sometimes hard to understand. So what we're trying to do with this series is just make it understandable and fun. A lot of scientific information, especially pertinent to plastic pollution. But that we're really trying to just create a nice channel to break down science in a fun and interesting way for everyone.
Cool. Well, listen, you guys can check that out on our YouTube channel. If you go on YouTube and just search Plastic Oceans International, you'll find it there, along with tons of other content that's totally free to watch. You can also go to our website, our homepage. You'll find a section, if you scroll down a bit, that goes right off to a page with all 4 episodes on it. And we look forward to having some other ones coming here in the near future. So with that, Charlie, stay safe, stay healthy in Arizona, and I look forward to seeing you sometime here in the near future.
Absolutely. You as well. Everyone take care. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your neighbors. Be safe.
All right. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.